In a world where most people watch movies and then forget about them, these brave heroes join forces to watch them again and then talk about them. Join them in their epic journey as they go back in time, a decade and beyond, to revisit and break down films from a vast array of genres. Do these movies hold up over time? Are they classics? Find out on Retro Movie Roundtable. Starring your hosts, Brian Fry, Chad Robinson, Dustin Melbardis, Nathan Lutz, and Russell Guest. Coming now to headphones in your ears.
Welcome all you lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable, the podcast where we watch movies and then talk about them. I'm your host, Chad Robinson, and joining me today, it is Ladies' Night. We've got two great co-hosts. We've got Mary Guest. How are you doing, Mary?
I'm doing great.
Yep, she is more than a dozen times. I don't know how much more. I didn't count. Russell didn't give me these notes, but more than a dozen times Mary has joined us. So good to have you back. And we have another great co-host back for her third time on the show, Tessa Morrison. Tessa?
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, all the way from Austin, Texas. Last joined up, we last had this trio for Predator. So we had a great time then. Hopefully we'll have a great time now. Part of the show where we just get a couple warm-up questions before we really dig into our movie. So we'll start with, we've got a superhero theme movie. We haven't done one of those for a while since Blank Man. Check out that episode. But we'll start with Tessa. If you were a preposterous amateur superhero living in, let's say, Champion City? Yeah, sure. Who would you be and what is your power?
I didn't have to think too terribly long about this one. My character is called Imposter Syndrome, and they are a shapeshifter that can look like anyone, but is super apprehensive about whether they're pulling it off or not.
That's awesome.
I love that.
They totally look like the person, but they're always like, "Am I doing this right? What do I do with my hands? What am I doing?" And then the game's gone.
I see a sequel and a part for you coming up.
Yeah, for sure. That seems to fit right into this movie.
Mary, who are you going to be?
So I was informed that I would be the atomic tomato.
Okay.
that my superpower is when there's trouble that I would be really cold and put on blankets, and then I would slowly heat up and burn my opponents. Because apparently this is what I do.
Yes. The blanket would absolutely be equipment, yes. That's something like your utility belt is a blanket, a snuggie.
Yeah, I would be bringing a blanket with me, or maybe it would be my cape.
Yeah, okay. All right.
The cape is a snuggie.
Exactly.
I like all of this.
A custom snuggie with a tomato on the front. A flaming tomato.
Well, I am going to be average man. I can jump average heights. I can throw an object an average distance, and I can run at average speed. That's my audition tape.
So basically Ben Stiller from Mystery Men.
He's slightly more angry. I'm an average amount of angry. So Tessa, what's the last movie you saw?
Oh, other than Mystery Men a couple times. That's going to be Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat. It's from 1989. It is a horror comedy western. Bruce Campbell's in it, but he plays a very minor part. But it's basically about this family that moves to this small town, and the small town is full of vampires, and they have all acclimated to, one, living in a desert town, and two, contemporary times, and they aren't eating on people. And so they're like just trying to fit in. So they're like kind of good vampires, I guess. But of course there's like a segment of them that aren't and are like, we want to eat people again. And anyways, they butt heads and this poor human family stuck in the middle.
All right, sign me up. I haven't seen that one. I will check
Yeah,
that
that sounds strangely awesome.
Yes.
Terrible. I mean, it's entertaining, but it is not good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's the kind of terrible that you have to watch.
Yes.
Like Thanksgiving. All right, Mary, what's the last movie you saw?
So I actually just rewatched the 1984 Dune, and in preparation to watch the new one, but I haven't seen the new one yet. I love the 1984 Dune. I've loved it since I was a kid. Why was I into that at age 4? I'm not really sure,
Wow.
but that one's a classic for me, and I just had to rewatch it, to like prepare myself to see the new one.
All right, so the spice must flow.
Yeah, so no spoilers about anything that I haven't seen the new one yet, so I don't want to hear about how good it is yet.
Okay, all right. I'm
emotionally attached to 1984 Dune.
I haven't seen it yet either. It's on the list. As for me, I watched Killer Movie, the Director's Cut. It's a re-release of 2008's Killer Movie with Kaley Cuoco. It's not to go back on the average man theme, but it's an average movie. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to see Kaley Cuoco being just this awful person. But, check it out. It's only... The director's cut was 20 minutes longer. I think it winds up being 100 minutes long. It's a short movie. We've beat around the bush a little bit. Mary, I think, spoiled it a little bit, but do you want to tell us what movie we're going to cover today?
Oh, sorry. I guess I already spoiled that.
That's all right.
We're covering Mystery Men
Okay.
from 1999.
No longer a mystery.
Right? And
Sorry.
no, that's fine. That's fine.
I forgot that part doesn't come in the podcast yet.
Yeah, we are very formulaic. We are strict about this stuff. So you get one pass. This movie, it stars Ben Stiller, Hank Azaria, William H. Macy, Greg Kinnear, Janeane Garofalo, Paul Reubens, Kel Mitchell, and the great Geoffrey Rush. So what a cast here. It's released as Mary said, 1999, costs about $68 million to make. So herein lies the problem. It grosses $29.7 million. That's enough to place it at 68th in the box office. It placed behind Superstar. And the movie that placed behind it was The Insider. Russell has a note that it's a very good movie. I'll take his word for it. I haven't seen it. The number one movie this year, we keep picking 1999, I think just to antagonize me further. It is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So I'll pause for the sadness that is. IMDb rating for Mystery Men is 6.1. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 61%, so the critics kind of like it. The audience is 57%. They're a little cooler. It's stunningly not nominated for anything. I could kind of see Raspberry Awards maybe getting in here a little bit. So let's talk about this. Tessa, we'll start with you. Have you seen Mystery Men before?
Yeah, I might have seen it when it came out in theaters. I went to the movies a lot. You can ask Mary. I was always dragging my friends to see anything and everything coming out, and more often than not watching horror movies at my house. And eating copious amounts of pizza. But yeah, I saw this. What was I expecting this time? I wasn't really sure. It'd been a hot minute. It's been since at least probably college when I rewatched it at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, when it first came out, I was in high school. Yes. I think it holds up. There are a few kind of moments where Paul Reubens' character, the Spleen, is being a little bit, like, kind of creepy, like, hey, what's up? But he's not as bad as he could have been. And there's a couple of scenes where I was like, maybe could have done without that. But overall, I enjoyed it on a second viewing. It definitely holds up. It holds up in a way that what we're probably going to talk about is how ahead of its time it is. So it more than holds up. It's better upon watching it now, I think, after all the superhero stuff that has come out in the previous years.
Oh, awesome. Mary, had you seen Mystery Men before?
So I had to fact check this with my sister to confirm that I remembered this correctly. And she does also agree with me that this is what happened. So we watched we got it on... from Blockbuster when it came out on DVD, and we watched about an hour of it and our DVD froze.
Oh.
And so I actually saw the first hour of Mystery Men when it was released on DVD, and then for whatever reason, who knows what, life happens and you don't get to get a replacement disc. We didn't see the end of the movie. So it's actually the first time that I've seen the last half of the movie to watch it for this podcast. And because it's in 1999, I was second guessing myself. Like, I don't remember how this ends. Why don't I remember how this ends? I know I've seen the beginning of it. And that is, in fact, why we had a scratched up disc from Blockbuster.
Okay, darn you, Blockbuster.
Yeah, I know.
For the young ones out there, it's a place where your parents used to rent videos from. And we couldn't just press a button on our TV. Yeah. I was actually one of the 29.7 million in ticket sales. I saw this in theater. Kel Mitchell was the selling point for me. I would see anything with Kel Mitchell. I saw the Good Burger movie. We should cover that sometime. I'm sure that one holds up just fantastic. I loved it when I saw it in theaters. There was a string of superhero movies in the 90s. This kind of comes at the tail end of it. It's in the parody genre. Austin Powers 2 came out at the same time as this movie. So going back, I was excited. I was glad this was shortlisted. It's got a soft place in my heart. I still enjoy it. I think Tessa's very, very accurate. There were some things I'm like, that doesn't hold up as well, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But overall, I do. I think it was ahead of its time as well. So I'm just going to steal everything Tessa said and repeat it. Right. So if you weren't part of the 29.7 million that have checked out Mystery Men from 1999, we would encourage you, go check it out, see the movie, join us. We're going to take a quick advertisement break, and when we're back, we are going to spoil this movie. So we'll be back in a few seconds.
What happens when two modern film fans go back and rewatch all the old classic films from yesteryear to see if they hold up? You get the Classic Film Jerks podcast. Find the Classic Film Jerks podcast on all the major platforms.
Welcome to the Flashback Flicks Retro Movie Podcast. I'm Ricky.
I'm Grayson.
And every week we review a movie from the past and reflect on things we missed, things we loved, and things we want to see again.
Yeah, because we believe any movie worth watching is worth watching again.
So if you like films, friendship, and a lot of callbacks,
I mean, just so many callbacks,
then subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever RSS feeds go for like-minded movie-loving individuals. Like you.
And we're back. This is your last warning. We're about to spoil Mystery Men. If you haven't checked it out, go see it. So in the futuristic Champion City, crime has all but been eliminated thanks to the efforts of the city's most powerful superhero, Captain Amazing. 3 would-be superheroes by the name of Mr. Furious, who gets a tiny bit stronger when he's mad, the Blue Raja, who throws flatware, and the Shoveler, who shovels, are trying to make a name for themselves but are constantly one-upped by Captain Amazing. With so little crime happening and without a worthy adversary, Captain Amazing grows bored and his sponsorships begin withdrawing support. He engineers a way to allow his arch-nemesis, Casanova Frankenstein, which is a fantastic name, to be paroled early. This backfires spectacularly when Casanova ends up capturing Amazing, and our amateur heroes must come to the rescue. They recruit several other wannabes along the way, including Invisible Boy, who can only become invisible when no one is looking, the Spleen, who has superpowered flatulence, the Sphinx, who is kind of the team's Mr. Miyagi, and the Bowler, a woman who throws a bowling ball that's possessed by her dead father. This strange team struggles to come together but manages to locate Captain Amazing before accidentally killing him. Now they're truly outmatched. However, just like a video game storyline, they get some upgraded weapons, more experience, and they get to try the boss again. This time they're able to overcome Casanova, hurling him into his doomsday device, killing him, and saving the city. This ragtag team have become Champion City's newest guardians. Let's talk about this crazy storyline of 3 heroes with just very strange powers. We've got Hank Azaria doing an English accent, dressed as someone from India, which he explains repeatedly as to why he's doing that. We've got Ben Stiller, who we come to find out didn't actually lift a bus when he was angry. And we've got William H. Macy, who carries around a shovel. What do you think of our trio here? We'll start with Tessa.
I think they're a really fun trio. The shoveler, he's like kind of your straight man. Like that's
Yes.
William H. Macy's whole like bag is he can be fucking hilarious without even trying. Like he just says things with a straight face and he just cracks everyone up, whether he's trying to be funny or not. But yeah, his whole shoveler bit is like, I shovel well. It's like, I do one thing good and I'm going to use that, fight crime. And yeah, so the shoveler, Mr. Furious, and Blue Raja, they try so hard, but they never really seem to get any of their like gigs right, you know, when they're trying to like help people. Like we open on like a really weird elderly home like party.
Yes.
And it's in like a banquet hall or something, or a ballroom, and it looks like something straight out of a Batman movie, which is because it is from a Batman movie. But yeah, it's nuts. This movie, the setup and everything, just like I can't even. I'm sorry. Somebody go ahead. What do you guys think of the trio? I'm getting ahead of myself here.
Well, I will say that this opening scene with the nursing home party, it's so strange that it actually, I think, serves the purpose of setting you up that you're in for a movie that you haven't seen before. You're in a different world, and I think that's kind of the point of that whole scene. So on one level, I'm like, why? But on another level, after I think about it, it kind of sets the mood for you to be able to then experience the whole rest of the movie. So I kind of have mixed feelings. It's like, it kind of serves its purpose and does it well in a weird way. And it sets you up for this sort of unexpected journey you're about to go on.
Yeah, I don't know what was happening with those old women with IV drips. Like, I don't know if they were doing a cakewalk or what. They were just going around in a circle in that party. So yeah, Yeah,
I thought that too. If you're on an IV drip, you're probably not doing any of that. So, anyway.
Yeah.
But back to your questions, I think that these characters are sort of like they hit this strange balance of unexpected. To come up with a superhero that uses a shovel and a superhero that's not actually British or from India.
Jeff.
Who throws cutlery. And somehow the actors in those roles actually make it work. And I think that's what astonishes me about it, because it could have failed epically, but you had these actors who could actually carry those bizarre characters through the movie.
Yeah, talking about our bad guy with Casanova Frankenstein, Geoffrey Rush has such a fun time with this role, and I love this vampiric villain, but I don't know how he kept a straight face, and I have no idea how anyone else kept a straight face when he's got those claws that he's pointing one finger and advancing on someone. Like, I love Geoffrey Rush. He does such a great job, but I would be cracking up every single time. And he's just loving it. He reminds me, we did Robin Hood with Alan Rickman doing the Sheriff of Nottingham and just loving that role. Like, it's the same thing.
Oh, and, Rotty.
Yes. And they even admitted, they were like, we picked this villain. This is based on a graphic novel, or not a graphic novel, but a story, a comic. They picked the villain just because of the name. It's a ridiculous and awesome name, and I think it fits the tone really, really well. So what about the rest of our cast? We've got the Shoveler, Blue Raja, and Mr. Furious, but the rest of the team that comes along with Invisible Boy, Spleen, the Bowler, the Sphinx.
Invisible Boy was added. He wasn't even in the comics. So Kel Mitchell's character, Invisible Boy, was apparently the product of some drunken ramblings at a party in LA that just ended up coming, and like the producers were like, yeah, put him in, do it. So I know that one originally wasn't in the comics. And I thought it was really funny, Mary, you mentioned Flaming Tomato. Because the original comic is the Flaming Carrot and the Mystery Men. And
yeah, that's hilarious.
Mystery Men does not include the Flaming Carrot at any point in time in this film, which probably put off some diehard fans of the comic book. So I don't think Russell knew about Flaming Carrot because he's been calling me a atomic tomato for more than a decade. Oh, sorry, tomato.
But right, I don't think the Flaming Carrot comic had anything to do with that nickname. Yeah,
Mr. Furious and the Shoveler were the two originals to the Flaming Carrot, but they decided Flaming Carrot was too ridiculous, so we had to replace him with Captain Amazing, sponsored by Rayovac.
Coke.
Yeah.
Or not anymore.
Previously sponsored by Pepsi.
Yes. I love that. It kind of reminded me of like Idiocracy. I don't know why that movie stuck in my head, but it's just like, all right, we're going to sponsor our superheroes with these. It was like a NASCAR jacket. So he's got Rayovac and he's got Pepsi symbols. I dug that because that's absolutely what would happen.
Wasn't there was it a toothpaste commercial when they're in the diner? There's Captain Amazing on TV.
Yeah.
I think it was a toothpaste commercial. Yeah, he's everywhere in their world.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of punching above where I think people expected it to, because it's definitely taking shots at this corporate mentality, and he's losing sponsorship, so he's trying to gin up crime just to get his sponsors interested again. So it's got some sharp commentary if you're really looking at it, and that surprised me going in because I just remembered Paul Reubens farting. I saw this when I was 15, and I remembered Kel Mitchell being invisible and naked at one point, which is a great scene.
Not the evils of capitalism making previously heroic people turn to crime to suit their own needs. Yeah. Captain Amazing is played by Greg Kinnear, and he's perfect. I don't know. I think there was talk of they were going to have Bruce Willis be him or something.
Yeah.
I think at one point. Anyways. And then I think Danny DeVito was originally supposed to be a character in here somewhere.
He was going to be the shoveler.
No? Oh, the shoveler. My bad. Yeah, but this cast is insane. You got Eddie Izzard as Tony P. You got Artie Lange as Big Red. Tom Waits is in it as a crazy mad scientist who makes inventions. Mary, there's more. Read more.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's over the top, and it's actually surprising that this first-time director got all these people in his movie. And I think they make the movie. I think that you couldn't, if you hadn't had this amazing cast, this movie we wouldn't be talking about it today.
And most of them didn't wind up liking it. Artie Lange calls it his worst movie. He's got this terrible story where he's got a very early role. He plays Big Red. He's the leader of the Red Eyes. His family called him after this opening scene and said, "Are you going to be in any more scenes? Because we want to leave." So I'm sad about that. The guy who directed it, everything about this movie is ridiculous. The guy who directed it was pulled from the Yo Quiero Taco Bell ads or the Got Milk ads. If you don't know what those are, those were huge in the 90s. Go look them up. But we literally said, okay, here's an all-star cast of comedians. All right, guy that writes commercials about a chihuahua wanting Mexican food, go.
Direct a feature-length superhero film that clocks in at 2 hours.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, Ben Stiller was asked to direct it, and he just said, no way, this is going to be way too much work. He didn't want anything to do with this project. So I think it was Janeane Garofalo that convinced him to come back to it. So good on her. She was fun. I definitely, of all the things that I remembered the possessed father trapped in the bowling ball. I didn't remember all the commentary or the fact that her dad is, I don't think it was racist, but he said something super, Oh yeah, he thought Frank Azaria, in his words, was a fruit, or what was the other thing?
A commie.
A commie or a fruit, yeah. And she's just like, my dad's a bigot. Sorry. I don't remember any of that. I just remembered the talking possessed skull. That was a great ad too. I liked everything. She had a tough part as the only woman on the team, but she held her own.
Yeah, and she had really a tall order. The whole idea of a character who talks to her deceased father because she's put his skull in a bowling ball. I mean, that it sounds like a recipe for failure, but she was able to, like, convince us of that, and I think that she was really successful.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody else doing that and us even, like, buying it, you know? She made us believe that she was really talking to her dad, so.
Yeah, you're taking directions and you're hearing, the bowling ball just said something really racist. Now react. What?
I think it helps. It helps that they are probably, a lot of them come from improv and comedy chops, you know, and then they're also actors. So that definitely helps. They're like, oh, we're just going to yes and this. Yes, okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. Reading up on this movie, it constantly came. It's almost a criticism. They said too many of these people were allowed too free reign to just ad-lib whatever they want. The one that sticks out to me is Janeane Garofalo at the end. They're interviewing everyone saying, all right, is there anything you want to say? And she ad-libbed, support your local indie movie theaters and indie music and things like that. She was just spitballing, and she thought they were going to try again. They were just trying to use extra film, and it stuck.
Yeah. It's a good line.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked all of it. So I don't know how much everybody else was improvising, but yeah, Eddie Izzard as a disco boy, Tony P. You know, we even get some directors in here. Michael Bay shows up for a minute.
As a frat boy.
Yes.
Their group has been accused of lethal hazing.
Yes. I absolutely didn't remember Dane Cook being in this movie. I don't know.
The Waffler.
I didn't know if he was big or not, but did you all see the story behind the Waffler?
No.
No, definitely.
There's a story.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
So Ben Stiller, he asked Ben Stiller, what should I wear? And he just said, whatever, just wear whatever you want. To the taping, your character's name is the Waffler. So he shows up with the waffle iron and the waffle t-shirt. And Ben Stiller goes, you idiot. Your power was supposed to be that you flip-flop and you can't decide. So I like the fact that it was so unclear that he just shows up with a waffle iron. And they're like,
oh, it's so much better that way.
Screw it. We're going to go with this. That's much
Oh my
dumber.
God.
So yeah, I love that. Any other cast highlights here for you guys?
Doug Jones is Pencilhead and son of Pencilhead.
Yes.
He's got a kid with him. Yeah, that was some of Doug Jones's earlier stuff, like this and Hocus Pocus, and he's in a lot of commercials too. Speaking of which, that might be how he got in on this.
Yeah, he was. I liked Pencilhead. I didn't understand his costume said PM.
Yeah,
Was wondering about that too.
I don't know what you're going for here, but we ran out of money, I think, with this movie. There was $68 million were spent, as Tessa alluded to, reusing Batman sets.
Yep.
Might have been why Danny DeVito turned it down. Like, he's coming off of Batman Returns, and like, hey, would you like to stay on the same set and do this over again? He's like, no, I don't want anything to do with this.
he maybe just didn't want to get pigeonholed, bird pun, into roles dealing with superheroes. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe he had a bad experience on set, falling down that weird winding staircase in the mayor's office.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this movie made me want to go back and watch Batman Returns. I've got to revisit that. So we do have our typical Casanova Frankenstein's plan of, I've got some random doomsday device that I've stolen and blown up all the other scientists for. That part, to me, kind of, it was almost background noise. I didn't care what he was doing with this information, but I do like the twist, and I completely forgot about it. It's a very memorable scene of the rescue scene of Captain Amazing. So, revisiting that, Mary, you said you had only gotten an hour in. Maybe Captain Amazing hadn't been rescued yet. Was that a twist for you?
It actually was, because I didn't get that far the first time.
Yeah.
So it was, it was really weird, because I was watching it late one night, and it didn't get all the way through. I had to go to bed, having a toddler, like I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore, and I stopped at about 1 hour and 2 minutes in, and I'm thinking, I've seen all of this movie so far, and basically when I went to restart the movie at that 1 hour, 2 minute mark, almost exactly then I was like, oh, all of this is new. So none of that. I did not see that coming with Captain Amazing just sort of spontaneously combusting and melting at the same time. I was kind of thinking, is this really just happening?
That was stunningly gruesome, yeah.
Right, because it didn't feel like the kind of movie we were in.
Yeah, and Janeane Garofalo wasn't told that his arm was supposed to break off, so when she touches that arm, her freaking out is because she thought she broke the prop. So that
Nice.
That was genuine. Tessa, do you appreciate killing off Captain Amazing?
Oh, yeah, totally. He was the worst. I think it's hilarious that, they literally kill your sweethearts, kill your heroes kind of deal for them to move on and be the better version of themselves and not constantly be looking towards Captain Amazing's approval. Yeah, screw that guy. It's his own fault, too, anyways, for not keeping track of those toggles and yelling at them rudely.
Right? I would not call those toggles either. It was a giant electricity switch like you see in the original Frankenstein that Dr. Frankenstein is pulling down. He's like, flip the toggles. Just giant switch. I do like Hank Azaria's confusion during that scene. Captain Amazing's just screaming at him, you idiots. And Hank Azaria just comes over and flips it up. He's like, uh-oh, problem.
Yeah. He's like, just do it.
Yeah.
Janeane Garofalo is like, I am not an idiot. You do not need to talk to me like that. You do not. And she's like, she was really just trying to clarify. I'm like, okay, so the toggle up or down? How many toggle switches are we talking here? Let's stop yelling. Yeah. Get down to brass.
I really loved how his smugness and his overconfidence about giving instructions for how to use this machine that he's never seen before, that's what got him killed, and I think that's just.
Right.
So I loved it. I thought it was totally appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it called the neuro or cryo fraculator or something like that?
Yes, the fraculator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed all of that. I enjoyed the special weaponry. I liked, say it with me, Heller. His Dr. Heller's whole bit with his tornadoes in the can, and we see some of his weaponry get used, that the shrinking gun that's used on clothing. Now that scene probably didn't age very well, particularly with I think it was Mr. Furious saying my pants got smaller too. It's like, all right, that's not great. I would have liked to see, I think it would have been funnier if they did it to men. Men in a leisure suit, or yeah, Tessa's on the same page with me. Let's shrink some disco suits.
Yeah, that probably would have been funnier. Yeah,
instead of just the women whose entire point was to be in mini skirts that were shrinking even further, I guess.
Yeah, those outfits were small to begin with.
Yeah, shrink some frat boy sweaters, anything like that. I did really appreciate the choreography, though. Coming back to this, I'm like, there are some great fights. The shovelers fight scene with the Disco Boys is great.
With the spade?
Yes, yes.
When you pulled out that tiny spade, I was so stoked. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I love that too. I was like, where'd that come from? I didn't know he had one of those on him.
he had all the shovels in his house. He had a row of shovels, but I was surprised by the spade. Like, all right, it's been 22 years. I'm down for this. I like the spade fight. I like Ben Stiller's fight scenes. His were fun. Most of it was just him getting tossed around, but yeah, when he shakes his fists in rage, it's a great shot. It's a great shot for Ben Stiller. I think he does that well. Moving on, we've talked about it a little bit, but our director, his name is Kinka Usher, and he'd have been approached for other films, but he was discouraged when he saw the script for Mystery Men. He said, I thought it was really boring, but the premise was really great. So most of these movies made by commercial directors, he says they're heavy on visuals and thin on content. He didn't want to be part of that, so he makes a 2-hour super movie spoof. And like I said, he's coming from this background of, he does Taco Bell, he does Got Milk. There were a few other commercials. This is his only cinematic film. This is all he does, and he basically said, if this is what it's like to be a movie director, put me back in commercials.
It's not, though, because all the comedians were taking advantage of this poor new director.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was some rumor that Tim Burton had shadow directed this movie, and that Kinka Usher just put his name on it. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I would doubt it, but there's some similarities between Burton's films.
I think it's the sets really that would make people think that.
Yeah.
I think that got debunked heavily because there's a lot of like behind the scenes footage of Kinka working on this, and proof that he was the one that worked on it. I think the fact that it's got like a Batman set left over, it might have colored that a little bit for some people, you know?
Oh yeah, and it's definitely spoofing Batman quite a bit. What do you think for a first-time movie director? What do you think of the job that Kinka does here?
You know, I have mixed feelings about this, I guess, because I think there's some moments where the movie doesn't feel consistent. Stylistically, you have this really amazingly rendered Blade Runner type world, but that's not, you know, when you're looking at the macro, but then when you zoom in, the sets are all very comic book like. So maybe that was an intentional decision, but it makes the viewer at moments not really know what kind of movie they're in.
Yeah.
You know, are you supposed to be taking this more seriously as a dramatic film because it's beautifully rendered? Or are we taking it in a more comic book approach? So I think that makes it seem a little... You know, it just makes the viewer a little bit like I don't know what page the director's on with his intent there. And I also think that there's some... I mean, I think that it's smart to let the actors, especially comedic actors, have some leash and let them create. So I think there's moments where that's really amazing and it leaves you with some memorable scenes. But I think there's moments where something doesn't feel quite on point.
Yeah.
I think about where the director said that the original script was boring. And when we were researching this, there's a lot of talk of ad-libbing and stuff like that. And even the stuff that made the cutting room floor. And if they were like ad-libbing that much, like some of their quips are kind of cliched, but supposed to be because it's a satire on superheroes. But there's also some lines that I'm like, woof, if those are the ones that got like ad-libbed because the previous lines were not good, like how bad is the original script, you know? Like how much did they elevate it from the original script, like the actors and the director? So I feel like Kinka did a really good job given like what he was working from, you know? But yeah, I'd be curious to see the original script for this, just to have a gander. And then Mary was talking about tonally. It is a little all over the place as far as like the lighting goes and the color palette and the way it's shot. It is frenetic, I want to say. It's kind of all over the place. But maybe they're just trying to cover their bases on the different types of like comics and the different types of like superhero movies. So maybe they're doing like a wide brush as far as what they wanted to pull from. So maybe that's why it just feels tonally awkward sometimes.
Yeah, throw a dart against a wall, see what sticks.
Yeah.
Tessa, you were talking about some of the things in their original script. It does seem that Kinka made weird stands. Janeane Garofalo kind of had Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher's syndrome with George Lucas of saying, we're not saying this. And she had a couple lines where she just looked at Kinka and said, no, I'm not doing that. But he put his foot down on some odd ones, like, let's create some carnage. And she still rolls her eyes at that line. She's like, it's so dopey. I mean, some of this movie I do think is meant to be a little dopey, but it does have those weird moments where it's trying to say something more important. And then we have a spleen scene where he's just farting on people at a distance to make them pass out at the bar. So yeah, I definitely see the tonal issues. And it seems like some of these sets may have been, I don't know if too good for this movie, like is where I want to go. But I was actually talking with Russell about this, and he's going, I want lower budget on this movie. I want lower budget sets. I came away thinking, oh my goodness, how much money did we give Mystery Men to make this movie? These sets look nice. But it turns out they're Batman money sets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's kind of fun that the special effects have this comic book feel, and they actually seem consistent in the way, and I appreciate that about it. So when you actually have a moment of like the green tornado or the weird whatever happens with the refractor thing and everybody gets contorted in space-time, these have a consistent feel through the movie, and I think that helps tie it together in its weirdness. So unlike a horror movie that I might criticize for having an inconsistent way that they show the gore, like sometimes it looks really super realistic, and then another scene will happen and it looks super, like B-level horror movie where it's like they know that they probably shouldn't try because they don't have the budget to make it look totally, actually real. So they lean into the gore. And then the next scene, they do something completely different. This movie, I feel like, I when it comes to the action scenes, there's some consistency that I appreciate.
Yeah, I agree. Like the action is just kind of the right amount of kind of like comic booky and a little goofy, but also like the speed on it, like how fast things move, like everything kind of has the same sort of flow or vibe, like what you're saying, that it all gels. Janeane Garofalo's bowling ball, flying around, and then the tornado in a can, like you're saying, and the way they twirl around in that tornado and got picked up, and it's just the right amount of like lighthearted, kind of tongue-in-cheek.
Yes, but I think I would also, whereas I appreciate the consistency there, I feel like in terms of the sets and the visual, the scenery, I feel the opposite way about, because I feel like, okay, we've got this wonderful Blade Runner world, and then like the shoveler's house looks like it came out of Edward Scissorhands. It's got bright colors, and it's this like 1950s suburbia feeling. Yeah. And you're like, how is that house right outside this city?
Yeah.
I don't know. The moments like that make me, in a way, I think it's just totally weird. I don't want to be critical of it, but at the same time, I think it's kind of an inspired thought from a creative point of view. Like, who would have thought to make these two worlds sort of clash like that? I wouldn't have come up with that. And who am I to say that that's good or bad?
That's the architect in you, because it did not occur to me remotely. Futuristic city has a suburb that looks like normal America. Didn't faze me whatsoever.
So Russell has made sure that I point out that the castle is sort of loosely based on Gaudi's architectural design, and I would say loosely because it's kind of like they took some of his sort of organic forms and then kind of were like, well, we could make it look like a cheesecake factory. Oh, that's cheaper. Okay.
But equipped with a disco room that hasn't changed.
Well, a cheesecake factory with a disco room that their marketing is inspired by Gaudi.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sure.
So these kind of weird things strike me as very odd when I'm watching it, but at the same time, who am I to say or stunt the creative thought process that went into creating that mess? I don't know. It's interesting, and it's making us talk about it.
Now I want to look at more background shots.
Yeah. There's so much cool creative stuff going on in the background that I think really adds to the world building. Every gang has a different set of guns, and they don't look normal. They're these cool-looking weapons. We've got Corvettes that are stretched out into limos. That was really cool to see. And then we have the Herkimer Battle Jitney, which you cannot buy because it does not exist, but was made for this movie. And apparently, Tessa sent me this great article. There's a huge following. Some guy was trying to buy the Battle Jitney and didn't work out for him. I don't know who actually managed to purchase this thing, but I hope they're driving it wherever they are. I hope they're driving it around LA right now.
I hope they've turned it into like a food truck or something.
Yes, the mystery food truck.
Yeah, it's going to be the mystery ramen.
Nice.
Nice. And I love the concept of that vehicle. You know, what was it? The military's best non-lethal vehicle?
Yes.
Why would the military have a non-lethal vehicle that is like, aren't all vehicles lethal if
you try hard enough?
I'm
yes.
sorry, I don't want to like break this down too much, but all vehicles are lethal. Yes. I can't get, my INTP brain cannot get past that line where I just get stuck on that. And I had to rewind the movie because I missed 5 minutes of dialogue breaking that down in my mind.
Right. It's interesting what people get hung up on. That did not faze me one bit. At no point was there like, oh, you could just run people over with this. So,
and after I've explained the oxymoron, 5 minutes later says, oh, okay, you're still talking about this. Yes, I am.
The thing I got hung up on was Tom Waits's Heller the Scientist's business card.
Yeah.
It was like chicken rentals, circus acts, aromatherapy, and inventor. I was like, chicken rentals? Why did he rent a chicken? Anyways.
Yes, Janeane Garofalo.
I was a little bit hung up on Greg Kinnear's grocery list, thinking, this billionaire guy, A, would probably have somebody drop his groceries off for him, and B, I would think he would eat better than that.
Right. Yeah, it's like, I think Bill Gates was on Ellen when she was asking him how much a single banana was, and he guessed $7. Said he hadn't been shopping in several years.
Oh my God.
It's like, yeah.
So out of touch. So out of touch. That reminds me of when, I know we're going on a slight tangent here, when Larry King was interviewing Danny Pudi from Community.
Yeah. Abed.
Yeah, Abed. And asking him what was a luxury that he couldn't live without. And Danny Pudi goes, coffee and really comfortable socks. And Larry King's like, really? That's it? And Danny's like, I don't know. What should I have? What luxury should I have? And Larry King's like, private jet. And Danny Pudi goes, Larry, I'm on DuckTales. And I'm just like, the amount of basically disconnected from the quote unquote real world or normal people that maybe Captain Amazing is also part of.
I do appreciate the Superman riffs of, well, maybe he just takes off his glasses. Then he couldn't see.
I love that.
The simple logic. I did enjoy that quite a bit.
The classic Clark Kent argument, yeah.
Conundrum.
Yes. Yeah. The wardrobes for this were all over the place. I really enjoyed Casanova Frankenstein. I thought he got a really cool outfit.
Oh, I would totally wear his jacket. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that jacket was dope.
Captain Amazing's was cool. He had a jetpack and everything. But others, like the gangs, it kind of looked like they raided a Spirit Halloween store. So
there's a lot of like cheap vinyl, shiny like material, lame, like all the shiny materials they used on their costumes had to been a bitch to film. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of shiny golden and metallic threads and fabrics there that like now for superhero movies, they mostly have like matte stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It was kind of a weird callback to the 70s because they were so leaned into the 70s style, but at the same time, there's a plasticness about it that seemed like it was from a costume shop rather than an actual wardrobe. Yeah. Which, again, may have been an intentional choice to have created trying to create one of the things that bothered me was I don't know what they were called, but the women who had the different color outfits.
Yeah.
That got shrink rayed. Like, I just could have done without all of that. Like, why?
Right.
So many questions of why with regard to that.
I think that that group of gals was supposed to be kind of like a spoof on Catwoman over the ages, and just kind of like that was their whole thing. Is their group was like a cat, or no, they were called the Furriers. I want to say.
Yeah. Is that what they were called? Yeah.
Yeah, they're called the Furriers.
That was one thing that just didn't. I don't know. That didn't work for me. But
same.
Right. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Still, shrink some frat boys or shrink some laser
I don't know. You
suits.
have a lot of good wardrobe moments that are really fun and quirky. Like Dane Cook's like shirt is like burned waffle iron. Yes. I loved that. That was great.
That was pretty hilarious. I don't know. I wasn't really hugely keen on our heroes' costumes.
I wasn't either, honestly. My wardrobe moments that I like probably are everybody except the main characters.
Oh, I dig the shoveler with his miner's hat or his construction hat. I dig it. Mm-hmm. And his child's vest. That was a great explanation of, hey, Junior needs his vest back.
Yeah, true. I forgot about that. But I will say that, of course I get stuck on details. The psychiatrist in the scene where she's like trying to convince the board that Casanova is cured.
Yes.
I kept thinking, her glasses are amazing. I need those glasses.
Yeah, the red streaks.
Yeah, I just, yeah.
I need to rewatch that and look at those glasses because I've been shopping around. Talking about costumes, probably the funniest one that they pointed out in the movie was the Blue Raja. Originally, his costume didn't have a lick of blue in it until the end. When they upgraded their costumes, he finally threw some blue in his costume.
I like that he was self-referential about that of, hey, nothing about what I'm doing makes sense, but I'm just going to go with it, and you're going to go with it. So, Hank Azaria can make anything funny. So special effects, it's kind of a mixed bag here, I feel like. Some of the CGI, I was looking through and I'm like, man, this is cool. Then others, I don't think they've aged as well. And some of it may have been Kinka's inexperience, but we left special effects for where they shouldn't have been. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a special effect at the end of the Doomsday where that tornado in a can is working, but they didn't throw any. So that was an alternate shot. So we've got the tornado in a can going off, but there were no actual tornadoes in a can thrown. They're all over the place, but I did appreciate the Captain Amazing melting. That was very Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, was that claymation? Because I feel like it was like a claymation stop animation.
Yeah, for the eyes bulging and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like that had to be a combination approach. And then, of course, the end result is just completely realistic looking. Like that gory sort of, and he's just like ash that falls apart when Janeane Garofalo touches his arm.
Yeah.
Like, they actually probably spent a lot of time and effort creating that sort of prop, basically, that was Greg Kinnear's body.
Oh, yeah.
But it was pretty impressive, and I kind of... It does make me wonder, you know, with the comic book-like feeling of this movie, was that the right way to go? Or maybe would it have been better had it been a little bit more goofy?
I thought it was goofy because his corpse was all like distorted and like when they zoomed out on it.
It was kind of goofy, but at the same time it seemed real.
Yeah,
like, especially when she touches it and it falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, it was real as in like a real prop, but I feel like the eyeball popping out and like and his teeth were all like weird and distorted and shaped funny, and he kind of looked like Ratfink, like a charbroiled Ratfink.
It was very Evil Dead 2-ish for me.
Yeah.
Like a Sam Raimi type effect. So I was for that. It just reminds me of a Raimi movie. Let's talk about the soundtrack here for a second. Everyone refers to All-Star as the Shrek song, and it's bothered me for years because this is something that has stuck out for me. I will defend...
That song's not actually in Shrek, is it?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
is it? Okay.
Yeah. And Shrek 3, it makes a comeback. But it was first used in our movie here, 1999's Mystery Men. So what do we think of the soundtrack? What do we think of using All-Star in Mystery Men?
It definitely places it in 1999. And I don't know that I have a lot of other commentary about it. There's a bit of nostalgia about it for me. So I'm okay with the use of it, but I could see how somebody who might not have, you know, been consuming music in 1999 might not have that same link to place and time that we do.
Okay. Yeah, they actually do have a song called Back in 1999 to open our film with. So yes, we are mixing Disco Inferno here and Night Fever by the Bee Gees with Smash Mouth.
That's a really good point, you know. It would have been more fun had they brought more 70s influence into the music and been a little bit more consistent with going back to a 70s type soundtrack.
Yeah. They got the Violent Femmes. They got No More Heroes. Like you said, the Bee Gees. Like, yeah, they had to have some of like the disco in there for those guys. Yeah, I mean, it had a pretty decent soundtrack. They have Mark Mothersbaugh.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed some of the soundtrack, but then again, it seems a little... I don't know, you gotta lean into it all the way if you're gonna go in that direction.
See, for me, it's a weird secret sauce formula. If you put All-Star in a movie, I'm going to love it. I am 4 for 4, I think. Well, Shrek 3 was okay. The first Shrek was amazing. Mystery Men's amazing. Famously,
you love the song or you love the movie that includes the song?
I don't know if it's correlation or causation. I don't know. But
maybe you like the movie, so therefore you like the song.
Yeah, it pops up at the end of Rat Race. So apparently, if you put Smash Mouth's All-Star in a movie, Chad's probably going to like it. I haven't seen their 5 movies. I looked this up.
I get it. When I watch Rat Race, I love this song. If I hear this song regularly, I'm like, why do I like this?
That's fair. I have not seen the Digimon movie. I don't think I'm going to, but that's the 5th movie that features Smash Mouth's All-Star. So there's your useless trivia for today.
This has been Smash Mouth Corner.
Yes. It makes me... Was it SNL that did the kids that were having nightmares about Smash Mouth coming in their bedroom, and so Smash Mouth with like Kool-Aid Man through their walls and just start singing All-Star? Oh, yeah, that's...
No, I don't know.
I feel like I remember first year of high school, the song was new enough to be on the radio still, and we'd hear radio in the art room, and like it would get mixed reviews. Oh. Like some people liked it, some people didn't.
I will go to bat for it. I'm bobbing my head along. Whenever that whistling comes on, it's like, yep, I don't care. I'm gonna
it's got that same sort of factor for me now. Like there's some stuff from the 80s that's like, I shouldn't like this. If you write down on paper like what I like in music, I shouldn't like this. Why do I like this? Guilty pleasure, I guess.
Right, that's fine. That's fine. Anything more about the soundtrack before we move on?
No, I think that's got it.
Okay, well, best part of our show. You guys ready to hand out some movie superlatives?
Oh, you know it.
Excellent. Tessa, we'll start with you for our MVP, director, actor, supporting actor, something else. Who's our MVP of Mystery Men?
MVP's got to be Geoffrey Rush. You can't have, like, a good movie without a good villain, you know?
Yes. Captain Barbossa. I love it. Mary, how about you?
I just want to say this was so hard to do superlatives on because I just love so many of these actors so much that it's really hard to, like, narrow it down and pick one person. And I really thought about, like, I almost said Geoffrey Rush, but I do really love William H. Macy, and I feel like he is really key to he's like a glue here. He's so consistently, he's that straight actor that you build around. And I feel like he interacts with the other actors so well. Like, I just, I feel like that should be recognized because I think that the movie would have felt very different without him, and I think he's just spot on.
I don't know how he managed to get through the Shakespeare line where he's trying to inspire people, but it's basically a repurposed Shakespeare monologue with a straight face. There are so many things that he just says, and he's corpsing. I mean, he's blanking on it. And the other
his like passionate feeling about the egg salad.
Yes.
And how he's going to eat the egg if we're going to... Like, should he eat the egg salad because the cholesterol will kill him? And I agree with you. How does he keep a straight face through any of that? He's amazing.
He makes the scene with Ben Stiller trying to come back so much more awkward, and I think that's absolutely what it needed. Just having this really beat around the bush conversation, yeah.
I don't know. I could talk probably for half an hour about how much I love William H. Macy in this role, and I feel like I would have liked to end the show with how much I love William H. Macy. So, anyway.
Well, he was my choice for Best Supporting Actor, because Best Supporting Actor is like the glue that holds it together, Mary. So I was like,
I don't know. I just feel like... sorry, yeah. Maybe I'm getting that backward, but anyway.
He's a good pick.
Either way.
He does. He holds the team together. I went with Janeane Garofalo. I think the bowler tied the film together for me. It's when she's introduced, she's got the funniest banter, she's got the funniest ad-libs. I enjoyed every scene with her, and I love the fact that she just needlessly antagonizes Ben Stiller. I think there's something just, instinctual. It's like, if you antagonize Ben Stiller, you will make me happy. So, yeah, I really liked her character. I think that was fun. And I think she had the toughest job out of all the main cast. So,
well, her and Ben used to date for like a hot minute, so she's going to be able to antagonize him.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. That makes a lot of sense. They're so angry at each other.
For like a week. There was like a hot and heavy week that they dated.
All right. You heard it here. Tessa, Best Supporting Actor.
Already said William H. Macy was my Best Supporting Actor. For the same reasons that Mary picked him as MVP.
Okay. Yep. He was great. Mary, who's your Best Supporting?
Okay, so I actually picked Janeane Garofalo for my supporting. I felt like she just had I think I said this earlier in the podcast, she had such a tall order. I mean, she talks to a bowling ball.
Yes.
And we buy it. I just don't think anybody else could have convinced us and had the same sort of oomph that she has. So, yeah.
All of them had to have a really wild time with that script. Like, you're Kel Mitchell. Okay, you've got to believably say, you can turn invisible. you can feel it, you know it, but it's only when no one's looking. Or Hank Azaria, you're reading your character. It's like, so I'm American, pretending to be British, but not England British, but Indian British, and dressed as a blue Raja who doesn't wear blue? Is that the direction?
Yeah. I had a very hard time deciding between Kel and Janeane for supporting actor, because I do think that he just, like... I mean, he just looks at the camera with this, like, these innocent eyes.
Yes.
The new hero, the wide-eyed, naive hero. It's like, we can make a difference, right, guys? We totally didn't just kill, like, Champion City's, big hero. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's... This cast, I mean, you can't even just, like, talk about the descriptors of the characters without giggling. Like, that's how fun this movie is. Even with some of, like, the weird dated acting and some of the cliche lines, which are supposed to be cliche on purpose because it's a parody, yada, yada. We've said this already. But, yeah, I haven't been able to pick my favorite hidden gem because I don't feel like anyone's hidden. Everybody's just out there doing their thing.
Well, I'm going to make a perfect triangle because we've each given each other's best or MVP or in our supporting actor. I went with Geoffrey Rush as my best supporting actor for all the reasons Tessa said. He's her MVP. I love a good villain, and he's having fun. I love Geoffrey Rush hamming it up, and I want him as more villains. So... Yeah,
he's so intense. He's hamming it up, but he's so intense while he's doing it. It's really impressive.
Yeah, stage directions. Love disco. Be intimidating with basically a letter opener fingertip and sort of act like a vampire.
And you have to file that fingernail right in the middle of the fight scene?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Only Geoffrey Rush could do that.
Also love apples. So, Tessa, you said you've got a tough time with a hidden gem, but you got to pick someone. So, who are you picking?
Oh, gosh. Okay, best hidden gem is got to be the shoveler's wife.
Oh, okay.
Because she's like basically saying you got to pick me or the job, and she supports him, but she's also just like, okay, like. She's been with him for a long time, dealing with his superhero nonsense. But boy, she sticks by her man because he does eventually save the day at the end. She's like, all right, I guess all this, time and effort, put into this is finally, I guess, paid off. But yeah, like she helps ground the shoveler, and we get to see his struggles with like, am I really worth it? Am I really gonna like make it as a superhero? Like, He's struggling with his own imposter syndrome.
Someone throws up in my pool. I'm leaving you. I know.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that she provides such a grounding for that character.
Yeah.
It makes me like him more, I guess.
I like that whole family. His little boys all encouraging.
They're so cute. His kids are so cute.
I believe you, Dad.
Yes. Mary, who's your hidden gem?
I am such a huge fan of Doug Jones and pretty much every role he's ever played. So when I saw him in this, I was super excited. And I felt like he was kind of a hidden gem because I don't think I knew who he was at the time. When I saw it, and I did see that part of the movie back in 1999.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew who he was, though. So it was quite a fun surprise when I watched it this time and found Doug Jones in there. So, yeah. Doug Jones.
Yeah, coming back to this, I didn't know who Frank Azaria was when I saw it in 1999. No clue. I don't know why I couldn't have placed him as a Simpsons voice, but, just don't pay attention to that. My hidden gem was Louise Lasser. She played Violet. That's Blue Raja's mom.
Yeah.
And her scenes of like motherly disappointment but also acceptance just made me laugh so much. And when she finally gives him her best silverware and says, I was going to save this for your wedding, but that's not happening anytime soon, and she just says it so sweetly, like, if it was a different actress, it could have been really bitter and mean, but she's just like, whatever, this is my son. I'm accepting of him. Here's some silverware. Go throw it.
I had this weird feeling when I was watching her scenes that it would be so much fun to see Kate McKinnon do her character.
Oh,
yes. She would have been great for that.
I kept thinking,
oh my gosh,
that Kate McKinnon, like, is that Kate McKinnon? Is it Kate McKinnon? No, obviously she was like the same age we were in 1999. So no, it's not Kate McKinnon. But yeah, I just felt like she would do such a good job
Geoffrey,
as
are you
that
in the
character.
marijuanas? You can tell me. Oh gosh, yeah, she would be great for that.
All right, we have a lot of people in this movie, but Tessa, you've got to recast one of them. Who are you recasting, and who's the replacement?
Oh God, I don't know. Pass for now. Let me think about it for a hot minute. Can
We'll
we?
get back to you.
Just circle around to Tessa. Okay, that's fine.
I gotta think about that one. Oh well,
It
okay.
is extremely hard to do a recast on this movie. I agree, because so many people are so awesome.
Okay, I got it. So
All right.
we already have a gang of bad guys that are rappers, yes?
The not
Why
so
didn't-
goody boys.
The not so goody boys. Let's recast all the female Catwomen, the Furriers, instead with a bunch of female pop idols that are evil.
All right, so you're throwing in the Spice Girls.
Interesting. Yeah,
the
that's
Spice
fun.
Girls would be good. Instead of like, what are girls made of? Sugar, spice, and everything not nice in this situation.
All right, yeah, I dig it. Get Victoria Beckham in here.
That would be so much more fun than sort of just random, girls that we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
We know nothing about them, but they're like actual people. Like, and isn't Angelica Bridges? She's a model, right? Like, people know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing about her character that makes me remember her here. So if she was like playing like a pop idol and they make you remember that, it would be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun,
That one definitely felt the laziest, even though the frat boys at first, I was like, is this the hockey team? Like, they all look like they're wearing hockey jerseys. Those weren't really frat sweaters. They needed preppier frat sweaters, I thought. All right. A tangent.
Chad's critiquing the wardrobe on the frat boys.
I've seen a lot of frat boys in my day. Despite my name, I was not in a frat, so I will defend that. But none of them.
Chad wasn't a Chad.
Every are you saying that every frat house has a Chad?
They probably
They probably do.
I think it's an obligation, but there were no pop collars. I don't know if 1999 pop collars were a thing, but I picture polos and the double pop collars. That irritation. Rant over. Listen, Mary, who are you recasting?
Oh, recast. Okay. So, like I said, this is one of the hardest movies that I've had to recast because everybody brings something special and unique to the table. But I will say that when I sort of had this moment of, wouldn't it be fun if ... Michael McKean were in Tom Waits' role, Heller?
Oh, yes.
I just thought that I thought that Michael McKean could have fit into that role really smoothly.
I like it.
I like Tom Waits a lot, so I'm not like saying I want to recast him, but I feel like a Michael McKean Heller would have been a lot of fun too.
I did appreciate that Tom Waits wrote his lines on his fingers, so that's why he's doing that weird finger thing, because he's reading his lines off of them. And the director's just like, sure, that's in character. We'll keep
That's super weird and quirky, and I do like Tom Waits in this role, so I don't want anyone to think that I'm like down on him. But I just feel like Michael McKean could have done something really fun with that role too.
No, it's a forced question, so we've we've got to get an answer.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes there's somebody that you want to recast.
Yeah.
There's somebody sometimes in a cast that sticks out, and you say, "Oh, I don't know about that." Well, but I, when I'm forced to do it, it does say something really positive about the casting of a film when I feel like I'm forced to do the recast. So that's definitely a plus for the film. It has amazing people in it.
I will be ducking from Mary on my recast. Listen, when I hear Danny DeVito wants to be the shoveler, I cast Danny DeVito. William H. Macy was amazing, but...
How dare you, Chad? How dare you?
I think every scene would be so much funnier with Danny DeVito. Just everything he does makes me laugh. And yeah, William H. Macy is great at the straight man, but I think Danny DeVito makes it just ridiculous.
I will have to fight you on that one, Chad.
Yeah.
I actually would not sub out Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Even though I really love Danny DeVito.
I mean, you and I did Get Shorty earlier, and
He's amazing. He's amazing, but William H. Macy, I don't know.
What about...
I'm not going to fight you on your recast.
What about Danny DeVito as the Sphinx?
Okay.
Oh, wow. Wouldn't that be... Yeah.
Yes.
I could be on board with that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You've avoided Mary's rage is subsiding. So
The atomic tomato.
yes.
Going to black out.
In a very cinematic movie, Tessa, what is your best shot?
Best shot. I guess the best shot has got to be the claymation scene where they kill Captain Amazing, I guess. Yeah, it was pretty out there and very... It just reminded me of animation by, what's his name, Plinkett? Man, I can't remember. There's this animator. He did stuff for MTV, Liquid Television. It definitely reminded me of some sequences from Liquid Television.
Okay, all right. I didn't know his name, but yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Okay. Yeah. That was. I'm always up for a gory disintegration type scene. So yeah, that was cool.
Or even better yet, when Janeane Garofalo's the bowler is leaning into the fraculator to drop the bowling ball, her father into it to destroy it, and her face gets distorted a little bit, but she doesn't die. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That one.
All right. Very good.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that was part of that sort of aesthetic that was effective in the movie. So yeah, I totally like that. Janine's face got a little bit warped, and then she came back out of it and she was fine. It was very good. Best shot. So I'm going to point out just something quirky and fun that I liked. Outside of Casanova's house, there's this huge lawn. And in multiple times during the movie, our heroes sneak across the lawn for no reason. They could just sort of walk along the bushes and be completely hidden and it would be fine. But no, they have to go dashing out into the open. And we make this sort of cinematic moment where we zoom out and we see them dashing across the field and jumping into the bushes. And it's just completely pointless, but it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm on board with it.
So you like the Ben Stiller army crawl at the end?
It was a lot, but I feel like it was necessary.
Yeah.
It was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the team goofiness that they don't know what they're doing.
There's a slapstick quality to that scene that I really like.
Mine's probably a trailer scene. I haven't seen the trailer for this in a long time, but Mr. Furious, when he's standing on top of Casanova Frankenstein's limo and he's trying to Hulk himself up and he's got his fists in the air just screaming and you get a close-up of his face as he's trying to rage up. I really like that shot. It's very comic book-esque. So and then he just goes and does absolutely no damage to the limo, which is, you're like, okay, all right, here it is. Here's where he's going to unleash. Nope. He doesn't even dent it, so.
And the irony is he works at a junkyard and has to tear apart cars.
Yes. Yeah. His boss is awful.
I'm pretty sure that was Russell's favorite scene when we were talking about it earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That does not
Old
surprise
lady.
me.
Junk it. I said junk it.
All right, so we got Russell's best scene in there. Tessa, what's your best scene?
Oh gosh. Well, kind of akin to what Mary was talking about earlier with Janeane being able to argue with the spirit of her father in the bowling ball. But there's also the scene where she's talking to Geoffrey, or the Blue Raja, about his relationship with his mother and like kind of psychoanalyzing him, but also being a friend and giving him advice. And I'm also kind of wondering if she's kind of maybe into him a little bit. And so I really kind of liked that scene where they're just at the bar, just shooting the shit, getting to know each other. There's no like weird quips or anything. And she's just kind of like, you know, just getting to know her teammates. It was really nice and kind of genuine.
Yeah. Okay. I did like that. I enjoyed all of her scenes, but she really does seem to want to get to know everyone, even with the spleen when she's saying there's not enough beer in the world. But she has her moments with the spleen where they're kind of getting closer, so it's nice. Right, Mary, how about you?
Yeah, so that's definitely what I wrote down in my notes as my best scene. The moment where she's in the bar with the Blue Raja, and particularly how she's arguing with her dad about how she should be able to have a conversation with her friends.
Yes.
I loved that. I think that's one of the moments where I liked her character the most.
And the bartender is absolutely fine with just talking to the bowling ball.
There's probably stranger things that bartender sees
than
her talking to a bowling ball.
That's true.
Guarantee
Just
it.
putting it out there. Yeah.
Dane Cook's wandering around with a waffle iron doing God knows what. My scene was another kind of get to know you type scene, but mine was Captain Amazing and Casanova Frankenstein when they first meet back up at his castle lair type thing. And they start this banter of, I knew you'd do that. Well, I knew you'd know I do that. Well, I knew you'd know I knew you. And it just keeps, I don't know how they kept up with those lines. It gets so complex and silly, but it's just endearing at the same time. And I just really like Greg Kinnear and Geoffrey Rush out hamming each other here.
Yeah, that's definitely a fun scene. I like that too.
Best wardrobe or makeup? We've talked a lot about the clothes here. Tessa?
Oh boy. I don't, like we said, we talked about the costuming and wardrobe and how they went with these elaborate costumes with cheap materials. And a lot of them are just so gaudy. I don't know. I would say I really like the Blue Raja's final costume, and it's actually kind of pretty. It's not that bad. I'm trying to think. Just some of the Disco Boys costumes are just amazing. I just gotta say the Eddie Izzard and his gang's costumes are pretty dope.
Yeah, Tony P. Yes.
Yeah.
Disco is never dead.
Disco is life.
Yes. All right. Mary, what's your best wardrobe makeup?
It sounds ridiculous, but I'm going to have to go with Dane Cook's shirt and having the burned waffle iron marks on it.
All right. Dane
I just really got a kick out of that.
That is
homemade quality to that shirt.
Literally was Dane Cook improv, so he was not given that at all. So kudos to you, Dane Cook, for your confusion about your superpower.
And commitment.
Yes. Yeah, again, he's reading this script a completely different way. It's like, well, guess I gotta go get a waffle iron and iron my shirt. That's excellent. I enjoyed the sponsorship on Captain Amazing's outfit. I think it actually harkened back to Wayne's World. They were doing this not so subtle advertising the entire time. Rayovacs in your face. Pepsi gets thrown out quite a bit. So I like that. I like the NASCAR-inspired outfit, so I thought that was cool. Change one thing, Tessa.
Change one thing. I guess maybe take out some of the awkward, horny jokes.
Yeah.
That'd probably be an overall, just suggestion, maybe.
The shrink was bad enough, but then I feel like my pants are shrinking. Yeah, we got it. That was a weird thing, especially since he was trying to date the waitress, Monica. That was a weird thing for his character to say.
Yeah, or just maybe lose.
It felt out of place, yeah.
The ogling. There's a lot of ogling going on.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys mugging at girls, fighting and
Oh yeah, the Wonder Women fighting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was weird.
The joke about them saying there's potential there because they were fighting, that was a good joke.
Yeah.
But the overt male gaze ogling was a bit much.
Yep, agreed. Mary?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the other thing that was weird is the whole scene with the skunk spleen.
I like that.
I feel like that just didn't even need to be there.
Mm-mm.
See, I'm for that, but, I'm a child, so if you have a skunk.
I did Invisible Boys, just go with it. I mean, I honestly, that was kind of funny. But I didn't know why we were having that scene at all.
Because he's smelly. And
yeah, but farts don't smell like skunk, so
no.
I would think that the skunk would also run from him. I don't know.
Listen, when you've got a 2-hour
If I were a skunk, I would run from him probably.
Yeah.
But my change one thing, I'm picking something else that really bothered me. This shoveler, he rips off the head of the dinosaur toy. He runs over it with his car, and he rips off the head. And I couldn't emotionally handle that.
Right?
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I have a child. I couldn't imagine bringing destruction to one of his favorite toys.
Right. Yeah.
That was too much to cope, and I felt very inconsistent with the shoveler's character. So,
Mary?
Yeah.
Did you recognize the toy?
Did I recognize the toy?
Yeah, it's a plush. It's a dinosaur from a movie. And anyways, it's
It's
from
what movies?
We're Back, a Dinosaur Story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
It's the T-Rex.
I didn't even register that because I was so upset.
I wondered if
I paused the movie when that happened.
Like that monster.
The mom and me just couldn't handle that scene.
That's an excellent point. I kept thinking, I don't remember this, and I don't know where they're going with this, but is it like an evil stuff? Is this a really lame villain? I couldn't. But no, yeah, he just ripped the head off his kid's toy.
Yeah, too much. Yeah, I couldn't. I felt like I liked the shoveler so much, and then he does that, and it's like, what?
Everybody's kind
Change
of a
one thing.
monster.
Don't do that.
Yes. All right, leave the stuffy alone. Yeah, got it. For me, the Sphinx was absolutely useless at the climax of the film. Everybody else got their own private moments. Even the Invisible Boy gets his moment of triumph. The Sphinx could cut guns with his mind. That would have been helpful when they were all getting shot at. So I don't know. Give the Sphinx something to do.
Wasn't that kind of the Sphinx's thing, is maybe he couldn't actually do anything super, but he brought that team together?
Give advice.
He cut all the Disco Boys' guns when they were about to shoot the Mystery Man.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, he actually could do things. He just doesn't. I don't know. He reverses what people says all the time. I did like that scene with Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller's like, this is ridiculous. You're just reversing what we say. Maybe. Best quote. Tessa?
Oh, I already said my favorite quote was when they were trying to enrage Mr. Furious, and William H. Macy turns around while they're in the car on their way somewhere, and Mr. Furious is having some sort of, crisis of conscience and personality and identity. And William H. Macy goes, "Your penmanship is atrocious." That's probably my favorite.
Okay. Yeah. Mary?
Yeah, Tessa picked an excellent one. So I think one that I liked a lot was actually Mr. Furious when he's getting mad at the Sphinx and he says, "I don't need a compass to tell me which way the wind shines."
I love
his mixed metaphors. I love him.
He's got a bunch of those. The can't remember anyone's name. He gets Carmine's name wrong. He gets Carol's name wrong. Yeah, I liked all that. Best quote for me, I already alluded to it. I really like the rage subsiding. I still say that to this day, and I don't think I've run into a single person that's gotten it. But one day.
Oh, I would have gotten it.
All right. Then the rage is subsiding. I do. He's got so many good things. And I can't go back. I just left this morning. That'd be ridiculous. All right. Tessa, thank you for joining us. Do you have anything to plug before we get into our ratings and recommendations?
Oh, thank you for having me again.
Absolutely.
And having me back after Predator.
Yes.
That was a really fun one. I enjoyed it. Yeah, plugs. I also do movie reviews for oneofus.net. I'm trying to think which review we have that just dropped. I believe we had a review for the Tom Hanks sci-fi film Finch just dropped, and we discussed that. We also did a review for Why the Last Man and the latest season of What We Do in the Shadows. So those reviews should be on oneofus.net. We have a Facebook, Twitter. I don't believe they have an Instagram. Besides that, I also guest appear on a YouTube channel called Rage Select, where we play video games and discuss them, review them, riff on them, what have you. And beyond that, I'm also going to be a Monster and a Friend's short horror film. So I get to Doug Jones it up. I'm going to be wearing silicone arms and a mask, and we're going to see how this goes.
Excellent.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, I'm very nervous, but we'll see how it goes.
That's you're gonna be great. It does sound like intimidating to go through some of the makeup stuff that you like you're talking about silicone type of stuff.
It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna have assistants and somebody that's gonna be there to like hand me a jacket, give me water or whatever as soon as I get out of the mask so I can hydrate. I'm getting contacts. I have to pick them up tomorrow, actually, to be able to fit the mask because I am blind as a bat without my glasses. So I'm like, I have to get contacts for this gig. Anyways, but the film is called, I believe it's Hot Tinu, I want to say. Hopefully I'm saying it right. But yeah, it's like a Western sci-fi horror.
Yep. Awesome.
Sounds fun. Awesome.
Check all of that out. We've come to our ratings. 0 to 5 stars. Half-star intervals. Tessa, what are you giving Mystery Men?
Mystery Men. I think I'd give Mystery Men... Let's see. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 really eccentric and well-rounded business cards.
Yes. All right. I love the reference. Mary?
I also was landing on a 4. I felt like there's some weird things about this movie, but it makes me appreciate how ambitious they were with it. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay. I'm going to make it a clean sweep, which makes me feel better because I can't justify this rating. We've talked about it a lot. If you're looking at this objectively, it's probably not a great movie, but I love it anyways, and it just makes me happy. So 4 stars. Deal with it, critics.
No, I feel like that's fair, Chad. I feel like we're rating this here now in 2021, and that might have been different from our rating in 1999.
Oh, Lord.
Because they really were so ambitious, and they picked up on things that we weren't ready for yet.
1999, young me, this would have been a 5 stars.
I might have not rated it that high in 1999. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have if I had seen the whole movie.
You know what? It had a skunk
Damn you,
humping.
Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Right.
A skunk humping a guy. 5 stars. This was my scale.
Cinematic treasure.
Yes, Mary's changing it up. I'm just going with it.
Or maybe they didn't tell us about that we had a scratched DVD because my mom decided to take the dog into the store with us. Yeah, that could have affected our customer service at Blockbuster.
Listen, this is why you're out of business, Blockbuster. Scratch DVDs of Mystery Men. This could have been a cult classic. All right. I feel like it is a cult classic. So normally this is this part of the show where we are selecting a movie for next time. We're not going to do that this time. We have a special episode where we honor the class of the new retro as we define it. And retro is 10 years or older. That's what we went with. So we're going to be doing our top 10 movies from 10 years ago episode. Here at the Roundtable, we'll be counting down the top 10 movies of 2011. This is not, Russell sent me the list of like Oscar nominees from 2011. I said, yep, haven't seen any of them. I got some homework to do. But I have seen Jack and Jill, so stay tuned to see if that makes the list. All right. Thank you again, Tessa, for joining us. Thank you, all the lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable. We invite you to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever people get their podcasts. Give us a like on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at movie_retro. Email us at retromovieroundtable@yahoo.com. We're lonely, and we just want to hear from you. Producing and providing this podcast is fun, but it's not free. So we invite you to support the show at our Patreon page, patreon.com/retromovieroundtable. Any contribution is much appreciated and goes towards making the show better for you, the listeners. As always, thank you for listening. Be good to each other and watch more movies. Tessa, you've got a quote for us?
Oh, yeah. We've got a blind date with Destiny, and it looks like she's ordered the lobster.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.